Man, so for today's video, I actually have some words of wisdom to give you guys all as a freelancer, as an inspiring filmmaker. If you can understand these points on what I'm about to say, it can ultimately help you become a better videographer. So, without further talking, let's just dive right into it. Quick disclaimer before we start today's video, I'm looking a little rough. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be looking a little rough for the next couple of videos because I'm growing my beard out. I'm trying to become a man, so let this thing grow out and see how it turns out, but just ignore how bad it looks and focus on the tips I'm about to give you. All right, so number one is going to have to be stop procrastinating on your camera choices. And the reason why I put this for number one is because oftentimes as filmmakers, especially with all these YouTubers coming out that are doing all these gear reviews and even all these camera brands that are coming out with all these new cameras, oftentimes I see a lot of filmmakers, especially beginner filmmakers, really struggle with and procrastinate on which camera to buy. Like there's so many options and I understand that, but if you sit here and keep stalling day and day and day and weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months on whether you want an FX30 or A7 IV, you're going to get absolutely nowhere. And I feel like oftentimes we just have this mindset of thinking that we need a certain camera in order to land a certain job. Now, in some cases, yes, that is true. But if you're a freelancer, you don't really have to get out there and have a Red Komodo X or even an FX6 if you're just starting out. You don't need that. You can use a mirrorless body and you're still going to get jobs. So stop procrastinating on what camera choice you're going to get and just dive right into it. Now, I'm not saying make impulsive decisions. Buy what you need, buy what you like, and stick with it. Don't sit here and change cameras just because a new camera comes out every single year. I'm telling you, I know a lot of beginner filmmakers who keep saying, oh, I want to start videography, but I don't know what camera to get. You have endless options, whether you go with Sony, Canon, Blackmagic, Fuji, whatever it is you want, get what you can afford and just jump right into it. If you sit here and think about it for way too long, you're never going to get anything done. Number two is going to be very, very important. So listen to this. Don't go into credit card debt buying expensive gear that you simply just can't afford and you just want it. The reason why I'm saying that, because again, I'm making this whole video because I had a conversation with another filmmaker about everything that I'm talking about. And one thing he stated was he really wanted an FX6, but he can't afford it. So he wanted to just slap it on his credit card and pay it off like that. I don't recommend that you do that. The FX6 is expensive body and you're gonna be paying a lot if you don't get that $6,000 paid off. On top of that, if you get the FX6 and you're not landing jobs, you just put yourself in a hole. Don't do that. All these new cameras that are coming out, all this new gear that's coming out, it looks fancy, it looks pleasing to the eye, but you really don't need it. And it ties back into what it is that you're trying to do as a filmmaker. If you want to get into wedding videography, don't sit here and buy a red Komodo. You don't need a red Komodo to film weddings. Just buy you a mirrorless camera that's gonna get the job done. The camera you choose should really be based off the type of work that you want. It just theoretically would not make sense to own a red Komodo if you're a wedding videographer. I don't even need a FX6 to do weddings. I could use it, but I don't need it. Just get you a small little mirrorless camera, get you a A7S III or FX30 or A7 IV. Those are perfectly fine for wedding. Buy the gear that you know you're going to need for the type of work that you're wanting to do. Like back when I was doing music videos, I had the A7S III. I knew that I did not need an FX6 for music videos. I wanted an FX6 for music videos, but I didn't need an FX6 for music videos. A mirrorless camera was perfectly fine for my music video needs. But as I evolved, I wanted to get into different type of work. So I bought the camera for the type of work that I wanted to do. And everyone's situation, everybody's different. You don't need to have a certain camera to get a certain job, unless it's a higher level job that is requiring that. But if you're just trying to get your foot into the door, you shouldn't even be worrying about any of that. Yeah, so bro, just don't go broke trying to buy all this camera stuff. Number three is gonna have to be expect failure and appreciate growth. When you first get into this, when you're diving right in, you're gonna fail a lot. You're not gonna get the jobs you want. You're probably not even gonna get jobs at all. It's gonna be very hard for you to even land a job. So if you come in with that mindset of, this is gonna take me some time, I'm not really gonna pop off the way I wanna do. If you come in with that mindset, you're gonna appreciate the failure a lot more rather than dwelling on it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you come into the game with just thinking, man, I'm never gonna get a job. No, don't have that mindset. Have a mindset of I'm gonna get a job, I wanna get a job, but don't sit here and make it a super duper high expectation, because once that failure hits and you realize it's not as easy as it thinks, I feel like you're gonna beat yourself up a whole lot more, thinking that you're just not capable of even doing videography, and essentially you might just give up and quit, and that's not something that you should do. Never give up and never quit. You're gonna have failures, you're gonna experience slow seasons, you're gonna experience hard times, but expect it to come, and then appreciate the growth that you came from. That's a big point that I really want to talk about. I feel like that is so vitally crucially important, because as filmmakers, there is times and there is seasons where we do just want to give up everything. We're not seeing traction that we want, we're not seeing anything pop off the way we want it to pop off, and essentially we just want to tie our hands up and give it up and just throw it away. I always train myself to think maybe tomorrow's that day. Maybe there's always one more day. I always train my brain to think that maybe tomorrow's the day I get a client. Maybe 2 days from now is the day that I get the client. Having that mindset shifted my whole mentality on videography as a whole, because you never know when you're going to get your next job, especially if you're just starting out. And don't dwell on it. It's going to come, it's going to take time. Words of wisdom. Number 4, which is my last point, is going to be emulate the projects you want. Now, the reason why I chose the word emulate, because I'm not telling you to copy, even though we all copy somebody else in some type of way, fashion, or form. But I choose the word emulate is because at the end of the day, we're all filmmakers. At the end of the day, we all get inspired about everybody else's project, and that's okay. That's the point, to have inspiration from somebody else's project that you really like. The reason why I'm saying to emulate somebody else's project and to get inspiration is because if you take bits and pieces of that project and, again, emulate it into your own form of fashion, then essentially you can really test the limits of your ability and see your strong points, and ultimately get creatively better. And the reason why I say creatively better, because at the end of the day, we are all creatives. What we do is pick up a camera and create something. So, because for me, whenever I'm emulating another project and I watch a movie or I see a short film, and I'm like, wow, I really like that. When I go, I start getting ideas and I start writing down ideas. Now, there might be certain shots that I emulate and put into my project, into my film, but at the end of the day, when I'm writing it down, I'm drawing inspiration from this movie, from this show, whatever it is it may be, I find myself at the end of all of it, I look back at it, and in reality, it was never really even the same. Maybe some of the shots were the same, but the whole idea, it just flowed and transformed into something that was totally different. But it started with me trying to emulate this movie, but in the end turned into something that was totally different. And this is why I think it's important as filmmakers to emulate people we look up to, emulate movies that we like. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I really hope that it helped somebody. I didn't want to make it too long. I just wanted to give some points. I just had a great conversation with another filmmaker, and I'm like, you know what? I can make this into a YouTube video. Maybe my audience will enjoy something like that. Maybe they can find it helpful and useful. If you did enjoy it, please give a like, comment, and subscribe. We're almost at 500 subscribers. It's crazy. Small little YouTube channel is growing. I'm so happy. Thank you all for watching. Yeah, that's it. I think I'm just gonna go now. I don't think I'm gonna do my normal outro. I guess. Abiantu, Bonjoni.